So what they've announced is basically, imagine ChatGPT or Perplexity if you used it, and you search for, hey, find me a new coffee maker. Also, they have your address, or you choose it from some saved ones. So the way they market it is like search and checkout together. So you both find the products and buy the products.
Yeah, so what they're launching is basically AI-driven shopping, and I think that's a really powerful take on Google's shopping results, which they bake into the first page. And I really think, when I just reflect on my own usage of Google, I think that shopping and searching for product is one of the remaining use cases for Google as a search engine. I've completely turned over to ChatGPT and Perplexity for things that are to ask for knowledge or questions about the world or anything that is reasoning involved. Hey everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Co-Creating with AI. This is our journey exploring and understanding the fast-moving world of AI. And today we're going to talk about search and RAG and Perplexity and all things synthesized from large data sets into comprehensive results. How are you today, Rasmus?
I'm good. I'm a little bit tired. I haven't drank alcohol in ages, feels like, and we had what's called a Christmas table here in Sweden. I'm not sure what's that called in other words. Basically means you eat a lot
Yeah,
together with your team.
it's actually
Um,
even a Christmas smorgasbord, right? That's
that's
the name.
true.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. It's a Christmas smorgasbord. I don't know why smorgasbord doesn't sound palatable to me. I just think about the smorgas cake, which is disgusting.
Yes,
I don't know. But yeah, so I'm good. Busy but good. How are you?
I'm really good. I was out in the snow and the garden, like and put on the winter tires on the car and so on. Like working with my hands and body is really nice. So I feel refreshed and alert today. And we are going to talk about starting up with Perplexity and their new shopping feature that they launched. Is it? And we I think we both tried it out. What's your first impressions?
I mean, let's get into what it's not right now after, but I
Yeah,
think it's interesting to just start with what they've announced. It's not fully
cool.
there yet,
Yeah,
but we'll
let's do
talk
that.
about it. So what they've announced is basically, imagine ChatGPT or Perplexity if you used it, and you search for, hey, find me a new coffee maker. It goes through, or maybe you have more specifications of what kind of coffee maker, and you want it to be capsules or whatever. And then it goes you and find a bunch of those, and it presents you the different alternatives as similar to like cards in a like an e-commerce site, and you have a buy button.
Hmm.
And with that buy button, it can say like buy with Pro if you have Perplexity Pro. um, and then you have your card with Perplexity already. You click purchased. Of course that will go into shipping
Hmm.
and everything as well. So they have your address, or you choose it from some saved ones. So the way they market it is like search and checkout together. So you both find the products and buy the products. And we can get into to do like how that like apparently doesn't work fully yet, and how they're implementing it. But just on that first level, I think it's really interesting because first of all, why would you go to Google and find these different websites and then go there and compare them and go to like best coffee makers 2024 site and
Hmm.
whatever, right? Which I at least do. I think that's why they are up there. Like people do that when you, and then put in your checkout information and your card and da 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 da. So I just feel like this is like kind of, when this works fully, is kind of the step from the old taxi services where you like called them, booked a cab. You don't know when the cab's going to show up, but it shows up sometime after a
Hmm.
while. And then you go there and then you take your card and they bring out their little thing and you draw your card and you kind of punch in your code and then you get out. The difference to Uber, when you had your card in there, you just click in an app to get the car that's closest to you. You know when it's arriving, you get pinged, you can even communicate with the driver. It's like that whole shift for me. And I don't know this, but I imagine that the volume of taxi trips vastly went up with Uber.
Mm.
Um, at least for me, like the way I use taxi pre and post Uber is like quite significantly different. I use it more. So I think that's just the high level, and of course we can reflect back on our discussion with like who wins in AI from a couple of episodes ago, where I really think that Google will need to embrace this fully, quickly,
Mm.
like relatively quickly at least, if they're going to stay relevant. But which I actually think they can, so I'm not so worried for Google. But yeah, so that's my high level reflection. Before we dive into like the drawbacks here to give people a realistic expectation if they want to try it, but like what's your feel of like the high level what this means?
Yeah, so what they're launching is basically a AI-driven shopping, and I think that's a really like powerful take on Google's shopping results, which they bake into the first page. And I really think when I just reflect on my own usage of Google, I think that shopping and searching for product is one of the remaining use cases for Google as a search engine. I've completely turned over to ChatGPT and Perplexity for things that are like to ask for knowledge or questions about the world or anything that is reasoning involved, where or open source libraries. All of that is just AI driven for me. But I think shopping is really one of the last outposts for where Google still has the throne. But so what for me it's completely logical what they're trying to do here to just like take down Google from the shopping throne as well as from the other venues where they've already like beat Google. And um, so the end result I um, feel could be really valuable if it provides enough depth in the shopping, like about the product. I'm not sure I would click a lot on like purchase like buy right now buttons. I want to buy high quality products rather than often the cheapest or immediate available one. So I want to research like more thoroughly. But if they can help with that, then I can ask follow up questions which I trust. Then maybe there really is a new shopping experience like in the making.
Yeah, I agree, and I think like it goes back to like if you listen to the founder, I'm not sure if there are several founders, but the CEO at least, Arvind of Perplexity, he speaks that about them as an answer engine as opposed to search engine, which we've mentioned before. But I think there's like an interesting point there. If you take that and like that those words and apply it to shopping, search is finding the products, answer is getting the product. And I think that's where they're moving to. And I agree with you, and I think they will actually be really good at providing that depth and
Mm,
follow up questions and helping you in the shopping discovery, but then getting that answer.
mm.
And the answer for shopping is that I have the product, right?
Yeah.
So, and they're probably not going to move into logistics and delivery and everything. There are better companies doing that. But I still think that's like a really interesting look, like how things really change with AI.
Mm,
Like you couldn't do this really. I mean, I guess Google could have bypassed the e-commerce sites and had like a shopping experience directly in Google even without AI. But I think a lot of these things make a lot more sense now when you really can pull in the information that you need and present it as an answer,
yeah.
and then help with execution. So I think it's really interesting at that level. And the second thing is that I think this is kind of a proof point for AI really being able to do stuff for us. One of the first best examples, like fully get you to the end result, like fully get you to that the order is placed and it will soon be at your doorstep. And I think that applies more broadly. But yeah, those are my like
Yeah.
big two reflections.
So let's talk about the limitations that we see in the current implementation. I mean, they first off, I think we both realized pretty quickly that just inventory is lacking. That they are launching with some products on some merchants. It's not the web of products in the way that Google has. uh, is able to present in their search results. So that's the immediate um, impression. What are other things that you feel it did not live up to the launch hype?
No, so I think the way I perceive it, like, so first of all, the shop with pro one click kind of checkout button, we never saw it, not even in their examples, just in their video. So I think that what they've, but we saw the shop with Shopify, buy with
Yeah,
Shopify button
yeah,
where that was available, which means they have an integration there, and then you got like directly to the checkout page for
mm,
Shopify. I don't remember if you navigated out, but it doesn't really matter. So I think the way I perceive it is their execution, for some technical reason, which which is probably not that interesting to dive into. They need merchants to directly integrate their inventory to Perplexity for them to actually be able to provide that one-click experience, just like Amazon has, just like Shopify has. So I think that's it, and of course maybe they will, hopefully they will be able to integrate with like Google Shopping, where all the big like e-commerce players and Shopify have their inventory, and then they can
mm,
provide that. But that could also be a huge barrier that Shopify and Google puts up in order to stifle competition if they dare do it, and uh, and then they can provide this themselves instead. But I really think that, giving back the Uber example, I really remember that the prime reason for me using Uber was that I didn't have to bring out my card. I don't know why that was important, but I really
yeah,
remember just that feeling of smoothness. All
mm,
done. I just get out when I'm at the destination. So I really think that that's going to be the vital thing here,
mm.
in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. And the way it's implemented now, I feel like when I pressed the buy with shop button, there was still like three steps. You come into the normal checkout flow of Shopify. You just bypass the store basically. The product page was already in Perplexity or the product card, and so you bypass the store, go directly to checkout. And but the checkout is still a lot of steps. But so definitely, if that can be handled by an AI assistant, then it's of course a lot smoother. And it can probably the first times it can ask for my credit card information. I can validate what card I want to use for a certain kind of product, perhaps. But so there's a big promise there in terms of really a smooth user experience.
Yeah, and let's play this out a little bit. I think, just like from my personal view, I'm really happy about this for Multiply, because I really think that Perplexity had and maybe has the best shot at competing with us as a kind of way for businesses to really work with AI in a structured and efficient way. But I think they're also doubling down on B2C,
Yeah,
just like
they're
the
really
big AI
going
labs.
consumer focused.
They're doubling down on
Yeah,
intelligence, right?
yeah,
On the core of like generative AI, not really agentic even
mm,
yet. Any of these big labs, they're both all like really still in generative AI mostly, which
mm,
is you write something, you get one answer.
mm,
You know, one a little bit more agentic. But I really think all of these companies have the fundamental view that intelligence, digital intelligence, is the key thing here, and that will be enough to solve pretty much everything. Um, but in any case, I think that yeah, they're betting B2C, and I think that's really interesting, because I can see that as, of course, the potentially biggest opportunity in AI. Being the personal assistant in your pocket, like we
yeah,
spoke about last time with memory. And yeah, I mean, I'm really happy they're in the game, actually, because they're also multimodal. They're, sorry, not multimodal. They are multi-model. You can
yeah.
choose any model there,
Yes,
so they can. They don't have to play that highly competitive game. They can really play the UX game.
and it's also very apparent that they are aiming for Google. Like they want to shoot down Google from their position as number one in search, and they have a shot at that. And I think that's why we perceive their focus as consumer oriented, because Google is so like aimed at individual search. No matter if you're at work or at home, you are an individual person when you come to the Google search field, and that's definitely what Perplexity is aiming for as well. Um,
Yeah, I agree. Can you just like, because you started working with something new as well, right? Alongside Kindship, and I think I haven't thought this through, but just like from initially hearing about it, feels like it could be relevant here in this
yes.
context.
Yeah, so one thing that Perplexity can do sort of well is if you search for place names, like what I'm in Stockholm for 2 days, what should I do? You can look for points of interest and venues, restaurants, and so on to go to, and but by making that vertical, you can gain a lot. So I'm working now with an AI startup on from Sweden called Loci, where they LOCI, that is, which has that as a goal to make sort of a Perplexity for um, geo, and also to help local businesses. So their initial offering is actually a B2B offering. They're not doing any consumer facing right now, but there's so many organizations that work with networks of merchants and networks of like if especially in the tourist industry, the traditional ones is like the large ones like hotels.com and so on, but there are many local like tourist agencies and so on where which are their initial market for B2B, and then they're looking to perhaps expand into B2C offering as well, with a front facing like a web um, uh, Perplexity for Geo. And
So what does that mean, like concretely? So let's think about a Perplexity for geo, like with the geographical data. That's
yeah,
good, and I mean this could also be a data set that's like used by Perplexity or whoever, right? But let's just imagine like a little bit around the application, because I think there's something really interesting here, which is one. I think Perplexity search is a really good example of AI doing things for you, like we said,
mm,
and or Perplexity shopping. I mean. And then what you were talking about for me relates to bringing that into the real world. So AI that can do things for you based on where you are in physical space
yeah,
and time. So does that make sense, or like is there something there? Can you give examples of
yeah.
how you think about it?
Yeah, so the obvious thing is the use case where you want to go to a location and you're wondering, what should I do here? How is this day going to be enjoyable for me and my family? So you can search for like, please make an itinerary for a family trip to Stockholm. And but there is also the reverse use case, which is sort of intriguing, where which I've used with ChatGPT a few times in a very improvised manner, which is when you are in front of some historical place like a castle or something. I've done this both in Sweden and when I made a road trip through Europe this summer, where I'm I've asked um, AI, how is this castle in front of me relevant for me as a person? Does it have a connection to Sweden, for example? And then I can get a very relevant story about how there was actually one of the German dukes who lived in this castle and built it out, married a Swedish princess, and I asked AI to tell and like dramatize the story of when she moved into the castle and how that felt for her and so on. And I
Hmm.
fed ChatGPT with tons of Wikipedia pages in order to achieve that. Since we were in the car, I had lots of time to play with it, and that all of that could be automated on scale by if you have a place in front of you and you're wondering, so this looks like kind of like a Viking grave. Can you make this fascinating for me? Could it be like a, a prompt for a like Perplexity for Geo, where it looks into the history of the place, the geography, the vicinity, and then just summarizes all of that in a very personalized manner, where that makes it exciting for me to be in this location right now.
Interesting. I mean, so that's one thing. What comes up for me, and I'm not sure if this is related to Loki and the data set you're building there, but I imagine like me being, so I have my Meta Ray-Ban glasses on. I don't have any. I need to get some, but I have them on. and Perplexity is linked to that, and some kind of geographical data is linked to that. So first of all, I see some, like, I see this like some guy wearing a really nice hat,
Mm.
and I look at it for a bit longer. The AI pops up. Do you want to buy this hat?
Mm.
you know
Yeah.
okay, on my, on holographically on my glasses.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay, please, or like, yes. um and then at the same time, it's like, my aura ring connects to kind of says, are you hungry? You
Yeah.
don't really eat now. And it has geographical data, which is saying like, hey, there's a couple of restaurants you'd probably like around here. So I think there's something that I'm sure what in there is like necessarily geo data, as compared to just like traditional kind of maps data stuff that Google
Mm.
has in their, you know uh, in just Google Maps.
Mm. Yeah.
But there's something there that's like, oh wow, I'm in the real world. I'm here
Yeah.
in physical reality. I see things. I hear things, uh, and the AI can help me get things done from that. For example, buying that hat or pre-ordering at that restaurant
Mm.
around the corner so that my food is ready when I come. I mean, that would be like a nuts experience, right? Just like it
Mm.
was first with Uber, that you just like, the car just shows up
Mm.
and it knows where to go and it's already paid for. I don't know. Something like that is what I see, where I see this going. I'm sure if that's relevant to what you're doing at Loki or not.
Now, so what you're describing is sort of Google Lens like, but AI driven, and perhaps something that can like something that can happen in the future if we get an AI assistant that understand me closely enough, and the way you describe it, if it knows if I'm hungry or not, and that is that I can turn over more responsibility for planning to the AI. Like I can surrender to the flow created by an AI and have a perhaps a really nice experience, as if I have a tourist guide that is like working full time on giving me like uh, uh, really a top notch 11 out of 10 experience going to a new place. And so that could be a way perhaps for AI to synthesize an experience for me that is super personalized, where I I get a really intriguing story about every meal I eat, every place I visit, and maybe that's woven together for the entire family if I'm on a family outing. And then AI becomes a layer on top of the like Uber for transport, the apps we already use for ordering food, or book a table for booking a table and so on, but where AI can just arrange all of that seamlessly on top of the existing digital infrastructure.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, definitely. I think the family trip example is actually quite good because it's relatively complex in terms of like knowing the user, so to say, and their preferences, and using data around where they are, and guiding
Mm.
them. So I think, and probably actionably, booking things for them, and we're in a new city. I booked these places. Should I book these places for you?
Mm.
And there, I actually really see this argument with AR glasses or similar,
Mm.
where one, the form factor of using the digital world might not be a screen on our phone,
Mm.
at least not clicking a screen on our phone. And two, that I could see the argument where Uber is no longer an app, it's just an API served to me through my AI.
Mm.
And where Google is no longer something I use, nor Amazon, nor Shopify, because I just have Perplexity search, so to say, serving me that information based on me and my world, where I am, like seeing that hat or booking the table at the restaurant around the door or the tourist attraction, etc. So there's something there where all this stuff just like links together,
Mm.
and doesn't seem like that sci-fi reality is that far away actually.
No, it might seem like science fiction, but we are already there. We're in ChatGPT, like we talked about last episode with memory. Like now, well, since I have memory activated for the past few months, whenever we talk about something related to what we talked about in the past with ChatGPT, it will weave into past facts and learn about my preferences, and that's gonna flow out into everything I do. Um, uh, when we have web agents doing work for me, they're gonna know my preferences, including like what kind of food do I like and what kind of um, uh, things am I interested in when I go to a new location.
And there I really see the second brain argument as well, actually, in terms of memory.
Yeah.
You could argue that you need Neuralink to directly access memory into your brain. You
Mm,
could also argue that you don't, because I see in my AR glasses that Martin is around the corner because we have location sharing enabled between us via our devices,
mm,
and it's like, hey, by the way, Martin's birthday is tomorrow, or you talked about this last, or you wanted to follow this up with Martin, uh,
mm,
you know, and just like feeding that into my ear, and
yeah.
then saying, and then do you want to ping Martin? Okay,
Mm,
and then you get a ping on your thing, and just like, hey, Rasmus is around the corner. I'd love to meet up. Do you have time?
mm,
That whole like experience is really like interesting, on so many
yeah.
levels, in that it really becomes like an extension of our both set of actions and brains,
Mm.
that is very direct.
And instead of thinking about user experience for different kinds of digital products, we think about what is the experience of living when we can be in more of a flow state where things just happen seemingly much more serendipitously, but they are very relevant and actually planned out by my AI assistant.
Yeah, I mean that's amazing. I'm really positive to that future. I love that kind of. I'd love to have that.
Mm.
Actually, I need to go now though. I have another call. Like I have a meeting, but yeah, I mean really, thanks a lot. This was fun, and I'm happy you brought up the geo stuff, because I think that's like probably an underestimated thing in this whole AI discussion right now. I mean, we talk about a little bit through the AR glass, etc. But since these are not mass market consumer devices really yet, they haven't had like mass adoption, and they're not like fully integrated in the way we talk about, where you have a clear use case such as shopping. But these things are really all coming together piece by piece. So I think we're going to have something really amazing, real world AI, so to say, in some shape or form, similar to what we're talking about within the near term. So that's fun to think about.
Yes. Thank you so much, Rasmus, and thank you to the listeners as well for being with us all the way. This has been an episode of Co-Creating with AI.